Have you ever noticed how some people seem to give off a majestic aura about themselves? They tend to not be as talkative, even coming off as uninterested at times. Pay attention, because when they rarely speak, people listen. This is not by accident. We as humans are intrigued by things we can't predict, as well as by people who achieve goals we ourselves haven't or won't accomplish. But there is also a key quality that certain people have that generates this respect and control. That's exactly what we will go over today. Welcome back, my fellow wise men, to the Namekian Scholar, to where we break down various scenes and characters in anime that demonstrate pivotal lessons on how to obtain and manage power. In order to stay up to date on any new lessons, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also comment, like, and share this video with your friends to keep the conversation going. Today's law we'll discuss is one of my personal favorites. Law 4 of the 48 Laws of Power states, always say less than necessary. Robert Greene once said, the more you speak, the more common you appear, and the less you're in control. Your words are powerful, especially when they are used sparingly. Maintaining a sense of control through your words not only generates respect and confidence from your peers, but it also intimidates your enemies greatly. And no one exemplifies this law more than Captain Levi Ackerman. Levi, a man of few words, understands that speaking too much can give away your true intentions, weaken your position, or reveal your emotions, which in his world can cost you your life. So how does Levi master this law? How does keeping quiet make him one of the most feared and respected soldiers in all of Attack on Titan? Those and many other questions will be answered today. So let's get started.
So, how exactly does Levi Ackerman embody Law 4, always say less than necessary? Let's break down some key moments in Attack on Titan, where Levi's silence speaks louder than words. One of the best examples comes during his first real interaction with Eren Yeager. When Eren is brought before the military tribunal to determine his fate, Levi's approach is cold and calculated. He doesn't argue with words or try to convince the military police of Eren's value with long speeches. Instead, he calmly beats Eren into submission to prove that he can control him if things go wrong. This brutal action says more than any argument ever could. Levi lets his actions do the talking, knowing that a show of power will silence any doubts. Levi's leadership style is another clear example of this law in action. In the battle against the female Titan, Levi rarely gives long-winded commands or detailed explanations to his squad. He keeps his instructions short and to the point, trusting his team to execute the plan without needing constant reassurance or clarification. His minimal communication keeps his squad focused and calm under extreme pressure. By not saying too much, Levi projects confidence, and his soldiers follow his lead without question. And let's not forget the battles. When Levi is up against Kenny's squad in Season 3, he's surrounded by enemies in the middle of a city. Most people would be shouting commands or making a scene, but not Levi. He moves silently and strikes swiftly. His ability to remain calm and quiet in the heat of battle makes him unpredictable, which is what allows him to outmaneuver a highly skilled enemy like Kenny, who knows Levi all too well. Even in one of his most personal battles, his confrontation with Zeke, the Beast Titan, Levi says very little. When he finally captures Zeke, instead of monologuing or taunting him, Levi simply makes it clear, through just a few words, that Zeke is now at his mercy. His silence in that moment shows his absolute control and dominance, making Zeke realize how powerless he is. Levi doesn't need to gloat. His actions and presence alone are enough. In a world where so many characters rely on grand speeches, manipulative dialogue, or emotional outbursts, Levi's quiet, restrained approach sets him apart. His ability to say less than necessary keeps his enemies guessing, his comrades focused, and his leadership unchallenged. In a battlefield full of noise, Levi's silence is his greatest weapon. Captain Levi exemplifies Law 4, always say less than necessary to perfection. His mastery of silence isn't just a part of his character, it's a key reason why he's one of the most effective soldiers in the entire Attack on Titan universe.
In your journey for power and respect, remember this key rule, which applies to any path you choose to take. Ideas are appreciated, but execution is worshipped. If you are to be seen as great by your peers, your execution will be the deciding factor. Sure, you could use words to sway someone's impression of you, but this is only temporary and as a result puts more pressure on you to execute. If you fail to execute, then you face either ridicule or isolation. So don't put yourself in a harmless position if you don't have to. By saying less than necessary, you avoid unwanted pressure and have less distractions from your main goal, power. Let's look at Saitama, not only as a great example of Law 4, but also on why you should focus on execution above all else.
When we think of Saitama from One Punch Man, it's easy to focus on his overwhelming physical strength. But there's another, more subtle power at play in his character, his ability to always say less than necessary, which is Law 4 from the 48 Laws of Power. Saitama doesn't need long speeches or dramatic monologues. Whether he's facing world-ending threats or casual villains, Saitama's minimalistic approach, both in words and actions, leaves everyone around him stunned. His silence builds intrigue, and when he does speak, it's often brief, blunt, and to the point, adding to his mystique. By saying so little, Saitama leaves others guessing, constantly underestimating him until they face his true power. His restraint in communication and lack of ego are key to his reputation. He doesn't need to prove himself with words. His actions do all the talking. In a world full of grandstanding heroes and villains, Saitama's silence is what sets him apart, making him an enigma and a legend. Think about it. Saitama rarely speaks more than a few words in battle. When he's faced with powerful enemies, they often monologue about their plans, their strength, or their ideology. Take Lord Boros, for instance. He spends several minutes explaining his powers and his motivation. Saitama, on the other hand, doesn't waste time with dialogue. Instead of engaging in a back and forth, he responds with a single simple statement like, "Okay," or "Is that it?" His lack of conversation builds a sense of mystery around him. By saying so little, Saitama avoids revealing anything about himself. His enemies have no idea what he's truly thinking or planning, and they almost always underestimate him. They see his laid-back attitude and assume he's not a threat, which makes his overwhelming strength all the more shocking when they face it. His silence catches them off guard, and by the time they realize how strong he is, it's too late. It's not just his enemies. This law works on the heroes as well. Many of them don't respect or even recognize Saitama's power, largely because he doesn't boast or explain himself. He says so little that no one truly understands his strength, except for a few characters like Genos. But this restraint is what builds his reputation as the mysterious hero. Without saying much, Saitama lets others make their own assumptions that often end up wrong. In the world of One Punch Man, where people love to talk big, Saitama's use of Law 4 sets him apart. His silence creates an enigma around him, amplifying his power and reputation without him ever needing to brag or explain. It's the ultimate display of confidence. He doesn't need to say much because his actions always speak louder than words. And that's why Saitama's mastery of always say less than necessary makes him not just the strongest hero, but one of the most respected, even if few truly understand him.
My fellow wise men, let us know in the comment section if you have used this technique before, and if so, what are your results? Thanks for watching today's video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time,